This to make it 28-3. Arthur Blank loving it. Up by 25. Toss to White. He's in. What a comeback.
Welcome back to another episode of the 28-3 podcast. Today we're going to tackle a couple topics. We're going to talk about Pete Carmichael getting fired. We'll also talk about the epic Mickey Loomis crackhead press conference from the other day.
Yeah, he was
and
on
we
something.
can give a few thoughts on the offensive coordinator search. So, as always, I'm here with Nick and Corey. Corey, you want to jump us off?
Yeah. What did we say we're talking about first?
We'll talk about Carmichael first.
Yeah.
I mean, giving the eulogy and kind of.
Yeah, it's funny because the whole year everyone's like, God, get rid of Pete. And not the whole year. I guess like at the end of the season, everyone's like, maybe Pete's not that bad. But there was all this ire and angst against him. And then he leaves and everyone's like, I'm not knocking it. It's true. But they're like, 18 years, man. Just, he was so great. And love you, Pete. Like, respect you. But, 2 months ago, everyone's like, get out of here.
To be fair, he did get a lot better as the season went on and quieted a little bit of those critics.
Yeah.
So I don't think it was as negative from the fans at the end of the season as it was, especially early of the season. But someone has to get let go here. Yeah.
And I'm not saying, like, let him go just because someone has to go. I think he had to go.
He has to go.
Because he had to go. Like, there's people saying, like, oh, well, this is just Dennis Allen trying to put a Band-Aid on a situation. And it's like, and that might be true, too.
Yeah.
But
I also agree with you.
But this had to happen.
Yeah, it was time.
He had to go after the 2022 season.
Yeah. And it was becoming very readily apparent that it is him. And our offense was, they basically quantify creativity now. It's almost like a statistic. We were just statistically not running the plays that would qualify you as a creative offense, and much worse, like as a effective offense.
Yeah, I think all those things are kind of funny. The thing is, are you successful or you're not successful? If you line up in I formation, you can score 28 a game. Who cares? We didn't. We did not. We were not successful for the majority of the season. So he's gone. I don't care about play. What I mean is I don't care how many play action passes you run or whatever. Is your offense effective? Is your offense not effective? And for a great majority, I agree with Corey. It's time's up. It's, it was one of my hot takes that he would bounce back this year. He didn't do enough. And I know they finished, we were kind of talking about this off air for a second. We finished 9th in points. We actually squeezed into the top 10 in points scored, which I had no idea until Corey mentioned that. And I kind of, y'all know, I pay attention to those kind of things. And I had no clue we had squeaked all the way up to 9 in total points. But it was the inconsistency. It was, this year heavily affected by the offensive line, true, but that's part of his thing, right? That's under his management, and it was terrible. And you have to, that's put on him, just like if the skill position players don't play up or Carr doesn't play up to par, it's all on him.
He's the head coach of the offense.
Right. It had to happen. I do think it's Dennis Allen's move to be like, well, something's got to change, and I got to save my own life. That's what I think it is. Yeah. But it's also deserved at the same time, right? I mean, he got 2 years. It never looked great.
Nope.
Right? So that's what happens in the NFL. You got to perform.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think you guys pretty much covered it. It had to happen. You just can't have back-to-back performances like this. So, it's
also,
a positive.
And also going back to the fact that he didn't want the job.
Well,
he was in, but to the degree that we know that was certainty, it was clear that his best role was the one he served with Sean Payton. I think some guys just, they either do it 100% on their own or they need a wingman or a captain or somebody to do it with. He clearly needed the other person in Sean Payton to succeed.
Yeah, and the other thing to look at, I mean, look, Payton's gone. Why are we trying, 3 years later, trying to replicate the Sean Payton experience?
And let's be honest, the Sean Payton offense did not look good this year either. So there is a component to it. Maybe the league has evolved a little, and this type of offense isn't working as well as it was.
Faster outside linebackers.
Right.
The
It's a
pressure's
different
coming
league,
quicker.
right?
Yeah. I just think, look, we're going into year 3 post Peyton. This is year 4 post Breeze. It was a beautiful moment in time. Let it die a peaceful death at this point. Let's stop trying to recreate it with people who can't recreate it.
Right.
We're not going to make fetch happen.
And to what Corey said,
Pretty much.
he does deserve recognition and praise for what he did here. He was a big part of the best Saints run in history.
Yeah.
In that role, he was exceptional for our team.
Yeah.
So let's call when Sean got hurt and he called the plays and the best offense in NFL history. Pete was a part of that. He was calling those plays at the end of the season.
Yeah.
He was calling plays in the Fountain Gate year.
2012, yeah.
And we were a top 5 offense. So this was not a bad guy for the Saints. He just wasn't an offensive coordinator.
Yeah.
It's just what it is.
What's the, I know you love Two-Face, so what's Harvey Dent's famous quote? You either die a hero or you live long enough to see yourself become a villain.
That's right.
That's exactly what happened
Yeah.
with Pete.
Yeah.
He became a villain. He had to go, but at the same point, he was a hero for many years.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We love him.
We applaud
Good
him
luck.
for his services.
Yep.
Good luck on his next venture. I'm sure he'll be in Denver as some kind of a quarterback's
surprised that's
coach
not
or
announced.
something.
Yeah.
It's coming soon. He's probably taking a little vacation and then,
Denver's publicity team's like, everybody knows, right?
Yeah, exactly. But let's move on to the more intriguing topic, the Mickey Loomis press conference.
Well, I'm sorry. I was just finishing my gum there.
Yeah, look, I'm going to turn it over to Nick first on this one, but let me just say, how fucking
That was
just
bizarre.
cracked out did he look?
I mean,
Could you be any more unlikable?
like I said, he was in a state. Like, that was not...
It was
like,
so unprofessional.
when I
looking.
watched, like, I saw the tweets coming through, and I'm like, why is everyone talking about Chuck Noll? Like, why
First
is Landry...
But here's the thing
trending
about
right now.
real quick
You know,
about those
and-
comparisons.
But well, before we get into that, I just thought, I was like, I got to go look at it. You got to look at it.
You gotta see it.
And I'm like, whoa.
It was worse when you watched it.
What kind of, like, it made me feel like, hey, this is like concerning odd. It wasn't just like a, hey, look at me. I'm
It was
like,
a cry for help.
this is medical. Like, what? And then I'm like, okay, now I'm just going to laugh at him because he sounds like the dude in a Metairie dive bar that's drinking by himself with all the conspiracy theories, and he just, like, has to come talk to you. The little guy, I mean, look, if you know,
Well, look,
check, and he's making all these, like,
he had that list prepped.
Yeah.
That
Oh, for
motherfucker
sure.
had that on a
it was
card.
like the way
an
he was
index
talking. He was
card.
like,
But here,
he was like
let's-
gesturing,
I
he's
wanna
like,
talk about
got
that real
this
quick.
Got this over here.
That
and then
list-
got that over there.
That
I'm
list
like,
is
"Whoa."
horseshit. Okay? Because when you manipulate, I always tell Max about this in some of these articles you get. You can manipulate data. Right?
Yeah.
Very easy.
Statistics can say what you want them to.
I want to make this narrative. I'll take this part of the statistics.
Yeah.
His statistics were not lies, except why are you using Dennis Allen as if Oakland didn't exist, and then using Belichick but allowing Cleveland?
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's using his Cleveland years, not his
Right.
So
That
you're-
is second tenure.
You're strictly lying. You're
Yeah.
up there lying, and
Yeah.
it is so unprofessional and condescending as shit.
Yep.
This has always been my thing, and Max knows this. It was kind of my gripe with Peyton, who is a Saints legend. It seemed like when we won a Super Bowl, the egos went through the roof, and they
Yeah.
just thought they were masters of everything. And ever since then, I'd always tell Max, I'm like, I don't think Loomis is it. I don't think Loomis is it. This was so egotistical
Oh, my God,
to
yeah.
come out there and know you were manipulating stats and feeding it to the press as the general manager. This isn't a player or even a coach. This is the general manager.
And it was egotistical and condescending. Just the fact that he did it at all, it thought, I'm going to go out and do this. It was one thing that he said that really got me when he tried to say, the people that want to just look at the 2 years, it just people that say, well, you just got to get rid of the guy. You just got to get rid of that's lazy. That's the lazy way to do it. And when he said lazy,
Yeah.
like, and knowing that everyone in that room, that's exactly what they're saying.
Yeah.
Everyone's saying, like, oh, he should be gone, but Loomis won't do it. And Mickey knows that that's the narrative. And so he just went out there and said, hey, I'm
I'm
me.
right. Y'all are wrong.
And y'all not only are y'all wrong, y'all are lazy.
And Max knows I am not
Jesus.
a guy who believes you bend to the fans. And I sent him, there was like a Bill Polian quote that's something like, if you start listening to the fans, you'll be watching the games on the couch with them. I believe there's truth to that. That's not what he did.
Yeah.
He went to attack everyone instead of say, I'm the general manager. This is what I believe.
Yeah.
This is what we're doing.
And he didn't just have like a bad moment where he just like flew off the handle. He went, like you said, he went there with the note card.
Right. And inaccurate data, like manipulated data, not inaccurate, manipulated to make his story look better. That is definition of like ego, narcissistic. You know,
And even
I make up my reality.
Even
So
if he had said all that stuff while not looking like he was on drugs, if he was like his most polished self saying the exact same words, it still would have been horrible.
That's the more concerning thing, because this was completely out of the ordinary. We've seen Loomis talk for 20 years at this point.
Yeah.
He always is put together. You know,
Yeah.
he's got a very measured response to everything. He looked out of control.
was
Let's
weird.
also talk about some of the other
was
takes
so
over the
weird.
last few months, where comparing to Breeze and doing all. You're like, what are you talking?
He's been
about?
saying more. Like I don't recall another season in our history where like the Mike Haas hour with Loomis has ever been a thing that
By the
people
way,
like
no one was
constantly
calling for Sean Payton's job
constantly
year
went
3,
back
by the
to.
way. Not
Yeah.
one person
Not
was calling
one
for
person.
Sean Payton's job.
Yeah, we
kinda
loved
heard-
him.
Yeah,
we
but-
went to an NFC Championship 2 years prior. No one was calling for
Yeah,
that.
someone else. said
Another
that.
lie.
Someone's where he's like, you want to call it a 8-8 and 7-9 season? You went to the NFC Championship
Correct.
the first year.
Correct.
Like
Off of a 3-13, I believe. Is that what we were?
Yeah,
the year
3 and
before?
13.
You went 3-13 to the NFC Championship.
the thing was, when I heard Mickey's analogy, you know, I love a good analogy, but yeah, I was just like, it occurred to me by his logic, it actually made me start thinking like, I've had a pretty good head coaching career in the NFL when you compare it to the early years of Noel, Belichick, and Landry, because at some point in their lives they had as many wins in the NFL as I do.
Yep.
You know, so by Mickey logic, I mean I could be a good next.
It was an
great
insane
NFL head coach.
way to approach that. Like I said, I don't agree with him, but if he came out there and said, I've done my work, I've done all my homework, Dennis Allen's my guy going forward, I believe we can correct the things to become a playoff team again next year.
Yeah.
That's a leader. This was trash.
I agree with that completely. Like
Yeah.
if he comes out and just has a nice, you know, a measured, you know, well thought out statement, I'm fine with it. I'll say, okay, that's fine. You know what? He believes in DA. They're going to, you know, improve the areas that need to be improved.
Yeah.
This was a fucking insane rant.
This was, I'm tired of hearing the criticism. So F all you guys. I know more than you. Here's the facts. There's no reason to do that.
It was a mix between like a, you know, go, you know, like fuck you, whatever. It was a mix between like that and the dude wearing like the tinfoil hat.
I mean, how out of touch? Remember the comment earlier about the economy is the reason why people were selling their tickets to the games?
That's what I'm saying.
No, motherfucker. We weren't selling because of the economy. We were selling because of the product.
But why? Like a small.
He's treating us like we're stupid.
Right. A small 3-year window. Last year of Sean and these 2 years have been difficult years for us, right?
Yeah.
And what does he do but just start like, he never talked like that. These are some wild statements that make no sense.
Yeah.
The economy, the tickets are purchased. They're not making money on these tickets. Everyone knows
Yeah,
they're selling
you have-
Carolina tickets for $20.
Right.
It's not an economy.
You
They
have
don't
a
need $20, dude. They
You have-
bought season
yeah.
tickets.
You have a season ticket wait list. Like,
So,
Yeah.
and again, I'm not saying you answer to the fans. You can't. He has to run the business the way he sees fit, regardless of the public. But that is not what he's doing.
Yeah.
He wants to jab at everybody for some reason.
there's a difference
I don't get
between not, you know, reacting to the fans or acting because they ask you to do something. There's a difference between that and just
anyone who compares anyone to Drew Brees.
It's a
I'm
difference
not on
between-
board. Go away. Like
yeah, not bending to the fans and just
Well,
you know
DA is
not insulting our intelligence.
DA is statistically one of the 5 worst head coaches in NFL history when you factor in the number of games he has coached and his winning percentage.
Yeah.
So for the fact that he was comparing them to Hall of Fame coaches is just disgusting.
It's insulting
and
to our
It's
intelligence.
insulting to
Yeah.
anyone who watches
Yeah.
football.
Yeah.
But
you want to keep them, just say you're keeping them.
exactly.
Move on.
We'll respect that.
Say what we're all expecting you to say. Like he knew that we all thought we knew what he was going to say. You know,
Yeah, and
like,
he pivoted, and it was.
and he's like, I'm going to come in. They all think I'm just going to get up here and say we're keeping him. Have a nice day. Well, I'm going to go somewhere else with this. I'm going to say we're keeping him, but I'm going to go say something that they're never gonna expect.
It was stupid.
It's like
It's just a rant of a person who knows he's
Yeah.
untouchable and will never go anywhere as long as
That's the ego part. That's what I'm talking about.
he's just a narcissist, and I mean that's the end of it.
it's pretty clear now.
Yeah, but let's move on to a more positive scenario. So we do have the search for offensive coordinator going on. From what it looks like we're ready to pick some fruit off of the Sean McVay tree.
Yep.
There's been reports that last year or the year before, I think it was, they went after Liam Cohen, who was from the Sean McVay tree. He ended up taking a job at Kentucky, I believe, and then McVay pulled him back this year to be the OC.
Yeah.
But it looks like that's been the position they wanted to go for a while now. So I personally am excited. You know, it's a new scheme. I've been very vocal about, like, let the Sean Payton system go.
Yeah. Bring in something new and
bring
fresh.
in something new and fresh, and let's get with the times on this.
Is this all? This is all the Shanahan tree, basically, though, right? Like, not those guys in particular, but
No, because McVay and Shanahan were both in Washington together.
was that when his dad was there? No.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, I thought so.
And then they kind of veered. They went off. McVay got the job with the Rams, and then Shanahan went to the Falcons.
Yeah.
And
And
then
LaFleur was there too. I think he went to BOC at Tennessee, then became. You've just got a lot of head coaches off of this original core.
I guess you call it the original
dad,
Shanahan,
right? The dad.
Yeah, Daddy Shanahan's tree. But
Yeah.
I think McVay and Kyle Shanahan have two. They have some two different systems on how they do things. So you see Mike McDaniel's obviously a Kyle Shanahan disciple, but McVay, man, that tree, I'm ready to see who we get. I have this feeling it's all going to be a big swerve, and we're just going to say, okay, well, we interviewed these people, but John Gruden's coming on in. It just feels like it's setting us up for that.
Kind of what I'm wondering if this is for show, and also maybe y'all have heard, but have they actually scheduled an interview?
They've already had interviews.
They've actually done,
with Gruden or in general?
No. I mean with the
Yeah, they've had.
No, they've had interviews. Yeah,
with the big.
I think they were
guys.
Zoom
Okay.
interviews. I think that's pretty standard now. The first interviews are Zoom,
Yeah.
and then they bring you in. I think
I
they
just
were
remember
all
like at some point during the week,
Underhill and Triplett reported that they have already had multiple
interviews. I know
interviews,
there were,
and there will be more.
First, there were
interviews.
requests for interviews, and
Now
about
the reality
24
is,
hours went by before we found out if they were doing them. So I think people were thinking like, are they going to block the interviews?
No, I mean, look, anyone who thinks we're not going to be able to get coaches, that's a fucking ridiculous take. I was listening to, I think it was Ross Jackson the other day, and he made a really good point talking about how coaches are arrogant. There's a finite number of coaches that are good enough to coach or get the opportunity to coach in the NFL. That's why you see them keep getting recycled.
Sure,
these guys think they can walk into any room and turn that team around to where it needs to be. And the other thing,
especially if they're getting a promotion,
right?
They're not gonna shy away for any reason. This offense wasn't even catastrophic.
Exactly.
That take is crazy.
No. And here's the thing, though. It's like there's this narrative going around that New Orleans is a sinking ship. Nobody wants to be here and all that. That's horseshit. It's a promotion, as Nick just said.
Yeah.
And look, they're not pulling from fellow offensive coordinators. You're pulling from the quarterback's coach or wide receivers coach. You're not getting, but most teams aren't.
Right.
But there's a huge selling point to come work for the Saints in that this front office will not fire you until they absolutely have to. Like, you're going to get every opportunity to succeed. And it's like, look, we all know DA's a bad head coach. Right. The guy's a hell of a defensive coordinator.
Yeah.
And if you it's kind of like when...
This is what I wanted, you and I were talking about.
When Sean Payton brought on Greg Williams.
Yeah.
This was finally at the point where he said, you know what, I'm not going to have all my buddies here. I forgot the guys, Gary Gibbs and all those guys. He said, I'll bring in this guy from the outside. He's basically a mercenary.
Yeah.
He's only going to focus on the defensive side. I can just focus on the offense. And you can see him kind of butting heads when shit wasn't.
Yeah.
But the
it was
combination.
clear they weren't like buddies.
Right, but they don't need to be. So DA, get somebody on offense that can be his Greg Williams.
Yeah. Right, and what I was texting Max specifically, it's my only case for Gruden. Because and I'm not making a case for Gruden because I believe, much as I believe the Peyton offense has kind of seen its day, I believe Gruden's may struggle a little bit.
Yeah.
I could be wrong. But what I'll say to that is there is no way Gruden is going to bow to DA. That's a Super Bowl winning coach. He's going to be like, no way, I got the offense. You go do your thing. Yeah. That's what's going to happen.
Which is what we need. That's what we need.
We need that.
Yeah. Now, again, we're not advocating for Gruden.
Right.
I'd rather
rather a newer
McVay
guy.
guy.
I would
Yeah.
rather one of those guys in that situation. So the thing is, you have to make sure it's a like a strong personality
Yeah.
that is just going to say, DA, fix the defense because you drifted last year.
Right.
You go do what you do. Leave
Yeah,
this alone. Leave me alone. Don't worry about it. I got it.
Yeah,
And we go with
and if it's a younger dude, as opposed to like the old guy move like Gruden, you would want the younger dude to be like, yes, young, fresh, and energetic, but also arrogant as fuck.
Correct.
Yes.
Like everyone's like, God, Peyton was so like people negatively used to be like, God, he's just such an arrogant asshole. It's like, yes, he is.
Yeah.
And he's not going to take any shit as a coach. And that's what you want from a coach.
Right.
So like, I don't necessarily need the coach to be like a nice, personable guy. Just like
I don't want that. Be an asshole. I don't care.
Or at
Just get
a
it done.
minimum,
I just think-
be someone that can lead people. I
Whether
think,
he's a nice guy, a crappy,
But everyone- but they said, like,
he has to be
Carmichael-
a strong.
yeah,
Has to be a
strong
strong
personality.
personality.
Yeah, that can just tell.
I'm just going to tell you what I don't want to see. I do not want to see some retread. I don't want to see Doug Marrone get fucking elevated to offensive
That would be
coordinator.
horrible. That would be.
Right, but that fits the MO of what these guys would do. Like, I'm
Yeah.
not, Nick's right. I'm not as keen on Gruden's offense being successful in 2024. You know what I mean? Like, you saw it in Oakland or Vegas his second go around. It wasn't the same. It wasn't the same setup. So, I would much prefer that we get a young, fresh guy who's on the upswing as opposed to some retread who's been trying to do the same shit since the 80s, and it just doesn't work anymore.
Me too. And
Yeah.
he needs to have full autonomy of the offense. That's
Absolutely.
what has to happen.
Yeah, DA can be head coaching title, but do not touch the fucking offense. Just focus on the defense.
Get it back to a top 10 defense.
Exactly. I don't know, Corey, you have any more thoughts on that? Or
No, I mean I'm with you. I think it's like you just it goes to the leadership thing for me. It's like with Greg Williams. It seemed like because he had previously had head coaching experience. So like now we're not gonna bring anybody that has previous head coaching experience, but it made it seem more feasible to have this idea of Sean Payton being the head coach of the offense, Greg Williams being the head coach of the defense.
Yeah.
That's the setup that I want to see. So, whoever the new OC is, if you're young, if you're energetic, good, but like Nick said, strong personality, but strong enough to where the players respect him. Like, new guy coming in, players listen to him, and that he's also a good communicator, because that was one of our worst scenarios this year.
it's got to be like in Remember the Titans with Yost and Boone.
Yeah.
One of them's got the defense, one of them's got the offense.
Yeah.
Meet
That's
in
it.
the middle, make
There you
it
go.
happen in the playoffs.
So no matter who it is, that's what I want to
There's
see.
a reference, guys. Max bringing one.
Max good with his movie.
Ryan Gosling,
movie
epic wide
references.
receiver.
Yeah, he got benched pretty quick. But yeah, I think that's all I got on the coaching search. Any other last comments on this one before we wrap it up?
Nah, I think it had to be addressed because it's happening as we speak.
Yeah.
So
So
see what happens.
I know we talked about on the last episode. We said that the season review was going to be the next episode. We figured we'd go ahead and sneak this one in first, but the next couple of days, you're going to go ahead and see the season review episode. I'm sure it'll be an epic one. We have lots of thoughts, and
We have been putting in work on it.
that one threatens to run 2 hours, I think.
Yeah, it's gonna be a long one, and I have a little surprise for you all with a little call it highlight reel of good takes, bad takes.
Okay, I feel like our takes were probably pretty good, but the predictions are pretty bad.
It sounds it's fun. Call it that. Listening back the first time, hearing your own voice and the things you actually said back then. Whew.
Well, cool.
I'm guilty of it too.
We all are. But with that, we'll go ahead and leave this episode, and we'll see you guys next week.
Who dat?